Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving the 2026 Hyundai Palisade SEL Convenience. Up front is a 3.5-liter V6, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Hyundai Palisade because it is all new for the 2026 model year. So we have a lot of things to cover in here, what has changed on the outside, inside, and drivetrain. We'll also talk about some things that are coming in the future. So I'm excited to share with you this new step for the Palisade name. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to Gerald Hyundai in North Aurora for letting me borrow their Hyundai Palisade for today's video. More on them towards the end, but if you'd like to browse their inventory, you can do so down in the description below. But let's get back to that 3.5-liter V6. Well, that is new for the 2026 model year. It does go down in displacement slightly. The previous Palisade had a 3.8-liter V6, but this engine is pulled from the new Kia Carnival as well as the Genesis G80. So it is a really solid engine, and Hyundai V6s have always been relatively solid, so that is the safer bet. This is a 3-row that doesn't have a 4-cylinder like base model CX-90. Now, a 4-cylinder hybrid is coming, but that's not what we're reviewing here today. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Love to see that. And the hybrid will have the 6-speed, so plenty of options there. Last but not least, this particular Palisade is front-wheel drive. However, you can find them in all-wheel. So how does it feel to drive the Hyundai Palisade? It drives great. It's not anything interesting or unique. Am I having this world-bending experience? No, but visibility is pretty good. Your seating position is somewhat low, so if you are taller, this is going to be a great vehicle for you. Ride quality is nice, definitely nicer than what you would find in equivalent Kia products. So overall, I'm a big fan. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior because we do have a fair amount of changes in here. However, in order to do so, we have to unwrap it. With that done, we do have a digital screen in front of us. Now, on upper trims, you do get blind spot cameras in the screen. Unfortunately, at the SEL Convenience, we don't have the blind spot cameras, which I think is a big miss and would be worth going up the trims. But overall, I like the gauge cluster look. It's easy to see, easy to read at a quick glance, and that's what I look for. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our adaptive cruise, as well as page icons and steering assist. And off to the right is the mode, volume, skip track, and phone options. To the bottom right of the steering wheel, this is actually your gear shifter, and I normally don't talk about it too much. However, in recent years, Hyundai has actually moved the engine start-stop button onto this gear shifter, so it might be hard to find at first, but that's where it is. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, gauge dimmer switch, power tailgate, auto start-stop, tow mode, power parking brake, and traction control off. And moving on to the door, we have the latch to get in and out, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment display. This does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And I like how this operates. I think it's very clear, very concise, and works very, very well. We also do get a backup camera. This does not come with the 360 camera that you would see on higher trim levels. However, the camera itself is pretty high frame rate, very clear, so I do like that. Down below, we have a bunch of buttons not only for our radio and climate vents. We have tune, but off to the right, we have parking sensors and parking camera, auto holding brake, and our drive modes for Eco, Normal, Sport, and My Drive. Pretty self-explanatory there. And then we have the climate controls down below. Dual zone climate here, front and rear climate controls. Absolutely love to see all of that. heated seats. However, you do not get ventilated. Then down below, we do have a 12-volt outlet and a bunch of cubby space in the center. But moving up onto the center console, we have 3 USB-C inputs, 1 input for the infotainment. The others are just chargers. We also get a wireless charger here in the center and cup holders off to the right. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2026 Hyundai Palisade, and I'm very happy to report that it does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test, just like the Ioniq 9 and actually a lot of modern Hyundais. Very cool to see. Then we do have a pretty sizable center console and the seats. The seats are a dark leather. I quite enjoy them. I'm 5'11", not a small guy, and I fit in here pretty well. We do have heated seats. However, again, on upper trim levels, you can find ventilated seats, and you can even find their ergo motion massage up at the upper trims. Now, this unfortunately doesn't have that, but that is an option that you can seek out. However, speaking of seats, the Palisade's claim to fame is that it is a 3-row, so let's go do some backseat reviews. So much plastic. All right, we're in the back of the new Palisade, and this is kind of where you want to be. Sitting up straight, 5'11", not a small guy. I fit very, very well. I do have my own climate controls up here. I have my own climate vents up here. Love to see that. I have a grab handle. I have speakers on the door. I have USB-C chargers in the front seats. I fit really, really well. This is a nice back seat to be in. I have a pull-out bin as well. It's great. This is what the Palisade was meant to be and meant to have, and so it's very nice to see all of this. However, we do have a 3rd row, so let's unwrap and hop back there. All right, sitting in the 3rd row of the Palisade, and if we can move this seat back into its position. It doesn't offer a whole ton of space back here, but it's adequate and it is a 3rd row vehicle. Would I want to spend a road trip back here as a full-grown adult? No, but if you have kids, this is going to be great and it's going to work. I'm not blown away. I'm not overly impressed, but I think it does a pretty quality job. That is a nice feature. I will say you can hit the button and it will move it forward. There you go, making it easier to get out. Let's now hop into the trunk and talk about the trunk and cargo space. Right around the back of the Hyundai Palisade, trunk release button right there. And it does have the power tailgate. However, that's not standard. If you get the base SE, it actually won't come with that. We do have plenty more to unwrap back here, but I just want to show you, you do have a 12-volt outlet over here. Love to see that. The 2nd row you can fold down with the power button. And down here you do get some storage underneath the flooring of the trunk. Overall, that is the rear cargo space of the brand new Palisade, which is lovely to see. Not crazy, you know, if you look at like a Tahoe or Suburban, you'll probably have a little bit more, but this isn't really competing with those and is nearly half the price. So pick your battles there. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is obviously all new for the 26 model year, and I think it looks amazing. It looks futuristic, it looks modern, it looks fresh, and it's not always a given that a new car looks better than the old one. I personally believe that this does look better than the outgoing Palisade. I mean, take a look at what Mazda did to the CX-5. They absolutely butchered it for its 26 next generation. Hyundai did not do that. I think they actually made this look a lot better, and I'm very, very happy to see that. Now, this is the SEL convenience, so it does have the smaller wheels. The calligraphy is going to be more kitted out and look a little bit more luxury oriented, but this is what you would get if you paid that $44,000 price tag. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving the brand new Hyundai Palisade? Well, I think it's really great. I think they did a great job with it. And like I said with the CX-5, it's not always a given that the new generation is better than the last, especially here in 2025. And so they did a lot of things really well. The interior space is great. I love that they kept the climate controls and radio controls separate in like the Kia EV6 that now shares a panel. These are separate and it's very user-friendly. I like the tactile buttons. I like the display. It's not too commanding of the interior, but still looks fresh. The exterior looks wonderful. It's presentable. You're gonna be the hot person on the block when you pick one of these up. And I think part of that is due to the fact that Hyundai didn't go overboard with this. They didn't try to reinvent the wheel when it came to the Palisade. The Palisade is a very strong seller for the brand, and so they didn't want to mess it up too much, but they definitely wanted to give it the love that it deserved. And I think that they've accomplished that very, very well. I also do think at $44,000, this is a relatively good deal. I would have liked ventilated seats maybe, but I think you get good tech in here, you get good ride quality, you get great features, and I think in that 3-row family segment, this is a very, very good and very competitive price. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Gerald Hyundai of North Aurora for letting me borrow their brand new Hyundai Palisade for today's video. They've been absolutely wonderful to work with. I've worked with several Gerald dealers in my time here on YouTube. It's always been a great experience, so I highly recommend checking them out. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.